What is happening in the sport of track and field? I woke up this morning to multiple texts, people telling me that Shacarri Richardson, the United States #1 fastest sprinter, had just tested positive. It's 5 a.m. and I think to myself, what is it? You know, the usual suspects. It's testosterone, it's EPO, maybe it's steroids, but no, it's cannabis. That's right. The United States' best hope for gold, one of the most popular athletes on Team USA, Shacarri Richardson, the 21-year-old sprinter who won the Olympic trials in the women's 100, has tested positive for a cannabinoid. Now, before we jump to conclusions, I want to give you guys a little bit of behind-the-scenes info about how this process works, why cannabis is on the banned list, and what is ultimately probably going to happen to Shacarri Richardson. Now, to start this thing off, I want to actually read from Let'sRun.com. They have a great write-up on this exact incident, and I'm going to read it straight from their site. Cannabinoids such as marijuana and THC are prohibited in competition and are classified as specified substances by the WADA code. The ban for testing positive for a specified substance in competition is 4 years if the anti-doping organization can show the use was intentional. If not, or if the athlete can show the substance was used out of competition, the ban is 2 years. In addition, because THC is classified by WADA as a substance of abuse by WADA, the ban can be reduced further to 3 months if the athlete can establish that any ingestion or use occurred out of competition and was unrelated to sports performance. Now, that's what I'm reading, right? We will get into why she used this in just a minute, but it was out of competition. It's a performance de-enhancing drug, first of all. But 3 months if the athlete can establish that any ingestion or use occurred out of competition and was unrelated to sports performance. Obviously, that's where this falls in. That would be a 3-month ban that, of course, eliminates her from the Tokyo Olympic Games. Now, the little asterisk here, 1 month ban if the athlete satisfactorily, that's hard to say, completes a substance of abuse treatment program. And we actually saw this exact scenario play out in 2018 when U.S. 400-meter champion Kamari Montgomery tested positive for THC and served a 1-month ban. Now, even if she accepts a 1-month ban, that still disqualifies her from the Olympic Games, which start in just a few weeks. When I read this, I couldn't believe it. I immediately went to her social media. She has a huge social media following, and the only thing she had out as of this morning at 5 a.m. was a tweet where she said, "I am human." Immediately, I went into, this is the most ridiculous thing I've heard in a long time. There's two sides to that coin. Number one, this is so freaking ridiculous that weed, which is legal here in Oregon, where she tested positive, that's even on the banned list. Of course I understand why we ban performance-enhancing drugs and why we ban masking agents, which masks the ability for us to test for those performance-enhancing drugs. There is no reason that weed should be on the banned list. Okay, it's absurd, but it is on the ban list. So immediately this morning, I wanted to go into how ridiculous it is that Shacarri Richardson was using weed recreationally before the Olympic trials. And I was going to give her a good lecture on how irresponsible it is, how athletes are responsible for everything that they ingest, everything that they put into their body. But then as I was working on this video, as I was doing research, she put out a public statement, and it changed everything for me. She said, "I want to take responsibility for my actions. I know what I did and what I'm not supposed to do. I know what I'm not allowed to do, and I still made that decision." Not making an excuse or looking for any empathy in my case, but being in that position of my life and finding out something like that, something that I would say has impacted my life positively and negatively in my life when it comes to dealing with the relationship with my mother. That definitely was a heavy topic on me. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I had forgot that Shacarri Richardson learned about her biological mother's death just days before the Olympic trials went down. Now, I don't know about you, but if I learned of my mom's death, it would hit me really hard. Somehow she still rose above that, everything that was going on in her life off the track, and kicked ass at the Olympic trials. Now, I know she says she wasn't looking for empathy, but in this case, I'm not a very empathetic person. I have a lot of empathy for what she was going through, and I think she should be allowed to compete at the 2021 Olympic Games. Now, it does look like there is a little caveat here, a carve-out, where she may still be able to participate on the 4x1 relay. She has accepted a 1-month ban as of 5 minutes ago. She accepted a 1-month ban that is retroactively beginning at, I believe it was June 28th when she tested positive. Now, that disqualifies her performance at the U.S. Olympic trials, so she's not eligible to compete in the 100 Open. And again, I'm reading this from Let'sRun.com. The USATF selection procedure states, that they're allowed to enter 6 athletes into the relay pool. 4 must be the 3 athletes running the individual 100 meters and the alternate, of which she's not eligible. But there is a selection of 2 additional athletes that will be made by the USATF head relay coach in consultation and cooperation with the respective 2020, in this case 2021, Olympic Games head coach, blah, blah, blah. So she could be selected for the 4x100 meter relay pool and get to compete at Tokyo on the relay pool. But that's not what we want. Of course, I want to see her in the 4x1. I want to see Shacarri Richardson race in that 100-meter final. I think we all do. And this is just me and 12 years as a pro athlete saying that I think we are actually going to see her compete. Now, this is pure speculation. This is purely me and my opinion. I think we will see one thing speaking louder in this case than anything else. I'm not talking about the support of other athletes. I'm not talking about USADA and WADA. I'm talking about the almighty dollar. Shacarri Richardson has a massive social following. And the powers that be, I'm talking about the IOC, I'm talking about Nike, I'm talking about USATF, they know just how much freaking money will be made if Shacarri Richardson is allowed to race in that women's 100-meter final. So I don't know who they're going to pay off. I'm not implying that any crime is going to be committed, but I have a feeling something's going to happen in the next few weeks that's going to allow her to compete in the women's 100. Maybe I'm wrong and you all can call me stupid. You can call me naive, but I just seen things happen in the world track and field that don't make any sense. And speaking of things that don't make sense, I would be remiss if I didn't reprimand USADA and WADA. What is going on with our testing, where we catch people for eating tainted meat, we catch people for having tainted medications, we catch people who are smoking weed, a performance de-enhancing drug? When are they going to catch all the people that are using performance-enhancing drugs? We know from many, many reports and studies that there are a lot of people out there doing performance-enhancing drugs. Why are they not being caught? Why did Lance Armstrong never test positive? There is a huge problem with the way that testing is done internationally and here in America, and it needs to be solved now. That's my 2 cents. I'll see you guys next week.